And hello again. I guess if Catherine's going to be the answer lady, I'm going to be the Ask Jack guy. What we've got is another query from an email about how to do it. So what we're going to do is share it with everyone that's interested by watching this video. All right, here we are with the repair guy because someone said they went through the cleaning video, yay them. They got everything sparkly, but when they went to put it back together, they have some coil springs, what they say are coils, but what they are is return springs, that they have left over. And I see from the picture they sent, they put them in, they just didn't put them in right. Now this is what we're talking about. Hers is a 700, this is a
328.
328. Very, very similar, close enough that what we do here will also work for that machine.
Actually, for a lot of Singer Studio models, won't it?
Right, yeah. Here we are on the cover. This is what we're looking for. It says right here, 1 and 2. All right.
It doesn't actually use numerals. The knitters will know it looks like a minus sign or an equal sign.
Right, but that's this position and that position. And if you can see, of course, it's this tension spring right here that pops this into one position because it goes against the flat of the lever, or it holds it into that position. And what that's doing is operating this little cam flipper right here in and out of position. But here's what she's got. She's removed this circlip style here, which all you do is flex it slightly with a pair of pliers and it'll lift right off, or you can turn it and it'll screw itself off. But she's removed that, and now she's got the spring back on. But notice, this type of spring needs two things. It needs a base tension, and it gets that right here. Oh, I can't
Boy,
even
that's stiff. Look at that.
Against the frame. And then it has the action tension against the device that it's controlling. So now what's going to happen is this is going to be really hard to put in unless we remove this button by taking this screw off. The only problem is you got to make sure that underneath here, and this is what I know, but you have to check. See, what it's doing is it's merely pushing on this section right here or not. See, here's the bottom of that control. Watch. All right. Here it is in the off position, and this is at rest. Now here it goes underneath this section to raise this up. Okay. And there it is again right there. See, there's the other side of it. So it only makes a rotation from this position to this position, and it's only pushing on that. See, we'd want to make sure that it's not connected like some of these flippers are to another device. So we can just take this off, and I'm going to do that very quickly because we want this lady to get her machine back together. That's our whole goal. And again, this is one of those sprawling situations. If you don't hold this out of the way, I'm going to move my big fat fingers. If we
You're
don't
talking about the long arm of the spring.
This is the action side of the spring. If we don't hold that out of the way, it's going to put pressure on this lever.
You're unscrewing something from the top, right?
Right, right. Here we're going to go to the other side, and I'll show you. I took that screw out, and it lets that washer. See, this screw is what, it has a hip on it, so that when it screws down, this washer spaces it out so that this lever continues to have movement underneath it. See how the screw moves around in there?
Oh.
Okay, and look right here. See, this is the hip that this sets on. Here we go. We're going to put it back into place. Got to flex this guy out of the way, but you see, it's got a boss that it sits on, and it's not as tall as the boss is, so that when this washer's pulled down tight, it pulls down to the top of the boss, and that leaves our flipper plenty of room, our lever.
Leaves some motion.
Yeah, it leaves our lever plenty of room to move. And we're going to tell on Catherine, look, crud in her machine.
You know what? I noticed someone's been getting cat hair in my machine. This is my spare carriage, not the one I've been keeping up the most.
Ah, okay.
But it actually could use a dose of your tender loving care.
Yeah, I have so many bathtubs set up now that we're going to put hers in the bathtub. Now, here we go. If you lift that up, oops, you're going to have to take this loose.
Go ahead.
All right. The reason I didn't want to show you on camera removing this little circlip is because these are actually designed for one-time use. You're not supposed to be able to take them off. It's just that was how all the wagons' wheel axles were held on, and when we were kids, we wanted big wheels on our wagons, so we learned to take these off. If you'll notice, I'll try to show you that this has a raised surface of little split
Let's put this
pieces.
Underneath for contrasting color.
Right. Of little split pieces. If you look at your machine, you'll easily be able to see how there's a conical shape where it goes around the shaft.
Slight, but it's there, yes.
Yes. Well, this is an exaggeration because each one of these little pieces flexes up to to go down on the shaft, but then they do not want to.
I'm going to try to zoom in. The camera is not really fond of doing it, but I'd love for you to see it better. I think you might have gotten a better look. Now back out to a more functional distance. Okay.
But here's the bottom line. They're not designed to come off. They're designed to lock into place. And when you take them off, you're actually supposed to bend them double, and then they lift right off. Then you take it to your local hardware store and or auto parts store, and you say, I need one of these. The critical distance is the size of the hole here and the size of the diameter there.
What's the correct name when you go to the store? What I hate is going and saying, I need this kind of washer. And they say, we've never carried washers, which you know to be wrong, but they've now changed the name to something else.
This is called a flex clip. We've dealt with circlips, which are also called E-clips, and this is called a flex clip because it flexes over the shaft, and then you cannot get it off by any means other than my pliers and a lot of technique. I'll try to show you how that's done, but basically use a pair of pliers to grip it. And if you'll notice, these pliers, I use them because these grooves in the jaw help me to grip this little fine edge very carefully. Now, and you can open your pliers.
You can't see it.
These are slip joint pliers, and they go closed to a not closed position. Use the not closed position to begin with. And then what you want to do is very carefully grip that. Take the hemostats off while it's on the shaft, and you want to grip it and rotate and lift at the same time. It'll get at a little bit of an angle, and that's fine, and these pliers are good for that. And you want it at a little bit of an angle to start twisting and lifting and twisting and lifting, and you have to work around the spring, but you see the spring will compress a little bit. So that's how you keep doing it. You keep twisting and pulling and twisting and pulling with it at a little bit of an angle, though it should be perfectly flat when it's installed. And that one's at a little bit of an angle, so it would help you start it off. But that's how you get that off. Obviously, our friend got it off because the spring's missing. Now, here's the sproing factor at its best. Lifting this up, there's pressure on it. You can see that. So what you want to do is put your finger here, lift that side, and there you are. See, now
you put it on top of the coil. Is that correct?
Right.
Your finger blocked our view.
Right. I put my finger right on top of the post.
Okay.
Now, what we'll do is we'll reinstall the same way.
So this is...
That's what she's not.
Different models could be slightly different.
That's true. In fact, hers has a bit of a curve in this section and is straight here, and this one has a bit of a curve here and is straight there.
And the different models do sometimes move those 1 and 2 settings to different places.
Right.
So you may find it's not quite in the same place on your carriage.
And now, since there's one on each side, Notice they're not interchangeable. You can't get, look what happens if I try to put this one over here.
No.
Yeah, the foot is sticking up and it needs to go down. So they're not interchangeable.
Make us understand, one of these ends comes out one side of the coil, one comes out the other side. If I was putting it back, I'd want to know which side should be down. So, well, since I know where this came from, that must be the upside, and this is the downside.
Yes, okay. Absolutely. And
back in the frame.
Yeah, whoops, okay. The point being, I think that in the picture she sent us, she has this mounted here, which it'll go there. But look, there's no tension.
Yeah, it needs to be.
Yeah,
this arm needs to come right here, doesn't it?
See, there's very little tension here.
Yay, that's
okay.
Right.
See, it's on its post, and it's in a footed position. But look, there, that's kind of...
But the foot should press here.
Yeah, see, that's kind of sloppy compared to what we had as far as the tension. And we go to the one that's connected. See, that takes quite a bit of tension.
And that's because this one is...
Right, that's because the foot in the lever side of the spring, you got an action side of the spring and the lever side or the base side of the spring. The base side of the spring, and I'll show you with a coil spring. Here's the action side of the spring that's hooked to this lever, okay? And the base side of the spring is hooked.
I see. I would call it an anchor. Well, it looks like our friend doesn't have much to do to get this back to rights.
Right. In fact, we're going to go ahead and reinstall this. All right. You install the anchor side of the spring first. A little bit of something. I use my finger, but I'm going to do it like this. And then, aha, now it's set into position, and I can remove the hemostat. Now we're going to have to move this aside in order to put our lever back on. Again, let me see if I can get the fat hands out of the way. Pull the spring out of the way, put that on the boss.
Yay.
Now, you see what happens is, oops, everything wants to get out of the way. So what you got to do is, once that's on the boss, you got to have your screw ready. This is where it takes 6 hands. I do it all the time. I want to train an octopus to do mechanic work. I think it would be wonderful.
Boy, can you imagine.
Now, to prevent that, place that clip on. If you have monkey fingers like me, you can just press it down.
Did you already get it down?
Yeah, I just pressed it down.
All right.
All you do is on the 2 open sides, press with your thumbnails, and there you are. Voila. It's in place. Now, the spring won't get out of our way while we're trying to relocate this lever. However, it wants to push it off the boss. So what you do is put it in its most relaxed position. Hold it with 1 hand or 2 hands, and your 3rd hand starts the screw. Your 4th hand gets the screwdriver. See why an octopus would be so good?
Ah, there we go.
Now, what you want to do is you never tighten anything until you know it works right. So you just want to put it down snug, and then, there we go. We're back.
Let's watch the spring. Yep, everything's staying where it belongs. Yay, Jack.
It's just the way things work. Now we can snug that. Notice I had it in this position, and you can see. Let me get it around this way. Watch this end of it. As I tighten it up,
went down.
It levels it out. So that spring has had tension on it all this time. That's why I said,
hope they could see this spring got visibly pressed down towards the body of the carriage.
Right, yes. Now, were I to be doing this repair for someone, I would take the LPS food grade H1 dry silicone lubricant and I'd spray all around this area, and I would have given that boss a little spray. Be careful, it makes it harder to remount the lever. But having the silicone underneath there assures that that works just fine for a long time.
I tell you what, though, I think I've been embarrassed enough by the dirt in this carriage.
Okay.
Can we possibly go put it in to be cleaned now?
Yes, we can. Let's do that.
Enough humiliation for one day.
Well, it's old, like the guy that's working on it. You got to give it a break.
Okay.